Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our agenda briefing forum. This evening is not a decision-making forum. It is a briefing on the agenda for the Ordinary Council meeting, which will be held next Tuesday, the 23rd of June, 2026. I'd like to remind everyone in the chambers to ensure that comments are respectful to the Council and all meeting attendees, including city officers and those in our public gallery. Please note this meeting is being live streamed. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we are meeting, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. Item 3 is announcements, and there are none this evening. Item 4 is attendance, and all councillors are present in the chamber. Item 5 is disclosures of interest. Are there any councillors with interest to disclose? Councillor Black.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 10.5.1.2.5, Policy Review Community Facility Lease and Licence User Agreements. I'm a member of various clubs who have a lease with the city, and they're mentioned in the report. So I declare an impartiality interest, and I'll stay in the room for that one, and for the deputations for that item as well. And the second interest for 10.5.1.3.4, New Local Planning Policy Short-Term Rental Accommodation. I have an indirect financial interest. A client I'm engaged with would have an interest in this item, so I will leave the room during deputations and questions on this item.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Latta.
Thank you. On 10.5.1.2.5, Community Facility Lease and Licence User Agreement, I have an impartial interest. I sponsor one of the organisations that will be impacted by the policy. However, there's an exemption for fees and charges. But due to the specifics of this policy, I'm going to seek further advice before the Ordinary Council meeting. And I also am a member of some of the organisations that are impacted by that policy. So impartial for tonight.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Yes, I also have an impartial interest on item 10.5.1.2, the Community Facility Lease Policy. I am a member of the Mellons Peninsula Historical Society. I'm also on the board of the Bayswater Childcare Association. So it's impartial and will stay in the room. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? Okay. Well,
sorry.
Councillor Pittaway.
Oh, just on that one, it would be the same. It would be 10.5.1.2, just on the community facility lease. I'm also a committee member for the BCC. Of Bayswater, so yeah, it's impartial and I'll stay in the room.
So just for the purposes of the minutes, I'll just clarify that both the Deputy Mayor and Councillor Pittaway have indicated it's 10.5.1.2.5.
0.5, sorry, yeah.
Is the correct item number. Anyone else? If not, we'll move on to item 6, which is deputations. So this evening we have 9 in-person deputations, and I'll explain how the process will work. Each person who is presenting will be invited to come forward and speak at the microphone for up to 5 minutes. As we get close to the 5 minutes, I'll let you know so that you can conclude your deputation. Once you have finished, councillors may have some questions for you. And when you come up to the microphone, please state your name and suburb. So the first one is in relation to item 10.3.7. And Aaron Turner has requested to speak in support of the officer's recommendation.
Hello, thank you. So, thank you to the council for considering my petition. Aaron from Bayswater.
Thanks.
Aaron Turner from Bayswater. This is in regard to the petition for the basketball court at Hillcrest Reserve. Good. Okay. Thanks to the council for considering this petition and the recommendation of the officer to include a 1/3 basketball court as part of the council-endorsed Hillcrest Needs Assessment Report, option 2. Thanks to the council so far, with special acknowledgement to Councillor Stephen O for his help and guidance so far. Basketball is a growing sport in our community for both young boys and girls. Availability of indoor courts is low, both post-school hours for training and during Saturday and Sunday on weekends when both domestic and wobble games are played. Multiple times my boys have wanted to attend an indoor centre on weekends and most times we are turned away. Both my boys play in both domestic and wobble basketball competitions for both Bedford Basketball Association on my shirt and the East Perth Eagles Association here in Morley, locally. I've coached for 2 years with both my children and have seen the shortages firsthand. All rec centre courts are booked for social competitions or training slots all weekdays. And any high school with a basketball gym is also booked solid. As an example, the under-12 girls team have to train late at 5 to 7 p.m, all the way up at Balladura Community College, as all the availability of courts in Morley and Mirrabooka is nil. The demand for organised sport, I believe, leads to demand for a space to play social basketball at Hillcrest Reserve. The reserve supports facilities for young children, such as the playgrounds at the upper and lower, and sporting facilities such as cricket pitches and acres of grassed ovals. But as a local resident who lives across from the park, who frequents my 2 boys daily, there's a lack of facilities for youths in particular. A basketball facility would provide a good option for youths and is a very accessible sport for families. If the council provides a court and a backboard, all children have to supply is a basketball, and they have access to hours of fun, social interaction and physical activity. This will give them an option to keep off devices, screens, computers, and will positively impact their physical and mental health. When looking at the map referred to in the report by the council, the outdoor community courts in the city of Bayswater, the closest court to Hillcrest is 800 metres. There's a noticeable gap which this will fill if we're successful and everybody votes. Thank you. The library court is frequently used as an example, but it would be great to have a court within walking distance of Hillcrest Reserve. All the families my wife and I spoke to were very positive in supporting this initiative, and I hope all the councillors are as well. Thank you for the opportunity to have a voice and be involved in reshaping the facilities at Hillcrest Reserve.
Thank you very much for your deputation. I'll just ask if there are councillors with any questions. Councillor Black.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Aaron, for your deputation. Just noting in the officer's report about the petition, and just consideration when it comes to planning is about adherence to noise regulations. I know with basketball courts, some people have raised noise as a primary concern for them. I guess you've got some experience with basketball around the city and the state in general. Are there any examples of an outdoor basketball court where it's done well in terms of reducing that noise mitigation or the concerns with the local residents around that basketball court in particular? Are they mitigating things that the city could be looking at that's from your point of view, such as the net design or materials that are used?
Yeah, a lot of it's the concrete hard stand, I guess, which is the most durable piece to put down. I've seen many different materials used, but I guess it all comes down to budget at the end of the day. I guess I'm buoyed by the fact that there is already in the report a dozen different basketball courts already in the city of Bayswater that obviously operate without too many complaints. So I figure if we can do it 12 times over, we can do it again.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions, councillors? No, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So the next deputation is in relation to item 10.5.1.2.5, and Brianne Rasmussen has requested to speak in opposition to the recommendation.
Hi everyone, my name's Bree and I live in Maylands. Good evening, Madam Mayor and councillors. My name is Bree Rasmussen and I'm the president of Casimir Montessori Playgroup. We hold a 1A community lease at 2 Hudson Street alongside Bayswater Playgroup, and together we support around 100 local families. I'm here tonight to speak to item 10.5.1.2.5 and the notice of motion that follows. A community lease, in our opinion, is a partnership. Council provides the space and volunteer organisations like us activate it. And we do activate it. We manage our organisation, we clean, we maintain the garden, we manage pest control, we arrange our insurances and compliance, we coordinate the issues when things inevitably break down. These are obligations in this very policy and we absorb them willingly because we care about the space and the community it serves. That's a fair exchange. But what we don't feel is fair is a policy that also leaves us fully exposed to costs that we can't control or predict. It was a change to this council's leasing policy that made 1A holders liable for utilities, and we didn't ask for that liability. it was imposed, and everything that follows tonight flows from that. We feel this policy review hasn't gone far enough on utilities. We welcome the service and maintenance fee and the removal of other outgoings. Both acknowledge that small volunteer groups cannot absorb every cost passed down, but utilities have been left untouched and they're our most significant and least controllable cost. This policy has always recognised that some 1A organisations need protection from certain outgoings. Historical societies have been exempt from utilities under both the current policy and the proposed one. We're not here to challenge that, but we're here to ask what the principle behind it is and why it doesn't extend to us. Whatever the rationale, that it's a community asset, that they have limited revenue, that they have costs beyond their control, it applies equally to every organisation on this list. I also note that your consultation found all 6 metropolitan councils passed on utilities to community groups, but I cannot see any consultation with those community groups. Do you know what impact those policies had before you choose to adopt them? Because the evidence before you tonight, 2 playgroups under financial pressure, 1 at risk of closure, suggests it's not a neutral act. It's a slow attrition of exactly the organisations the policy is meant to support. I'm aware that concerns have been raised that we're not doing enough to help ourselves, and I want to address that directly tonight. We've cancelled all non-essential services like carpet cleaning and gardening, so our committee members now do those jobs themselves. We've reduced our heating and cooling use. Yes, even this morning on a 4-degree day, we don't turn the heating on. We've pursued every grant available to us, though none of those can be used for running costs. We've renegotiated our cost sharing with Bayswater Playgroup, so Casimir now absorbs 70% of these shared utilities bills. And that doesn't reduce our own costs, but supports Bayswater Playgroup, just to buy them some time. We've asked our families to donate consumables, flour, cream of tartar, long life milk, just so we can make Play-Doh each week and we can give tired parents a coffee. We've even drafted a letter to the State Minister for Energy, as advised by one of your councillors. We're tightening every bolt and pulling every reasonable lever, and still we're here because the problem is not our management, the problem's structural. I also want to address the notion that we should just fundraise more. In 2007, the Australian Institute of Family Studies found that parents of children under 5 spent 38 hours a week on unpaid work, more than double that of parents with school-aged children. By 2024, the Australian Bureau of Statistics found that figure had grown to 44 hours, more than a full working week of unpaid labour, on top of paid employment and everything else. The burden on young families isn't easing, it's growing. Every person on our committee is a volunteer with at least 1 child under the age of 5. When you ask us to fundraise our way out of a structural cost problem, you're asking the most time-poor people in this community to carry a burden that's not theirs to carry. We do fundraise. We ran a community event just 2 months ago, but there is a ceiling, and asking exhausted volunteers to push through is not a policy solution. It's not a sustainable model, and it's a recipe for burnout and high turnover. 8 organisations hold 1A leases with the City of Bayswater. Us, the Playgroup, a toy library, a women's hut, men's shed, an arts centre, the Environment House, and 2 heritage organisations, the connective tissue of this community. This policy already accepts that 1A holders cannot bear all costs equally. We're asking Council to extend that same logic to utilities for all 1A leaseholders in a meaningful and lasting way. I'm not here tonight to prescribe exactly how that happens, but what I'm asking for is a genuine commitment to consult with 1A leaseholders and work towards a solution built into this policy, not left to individual organisations to raise at individual meetings year after year. The City of Bayswater's vision is to grow a connected, innovative, sustainable city, one where people of all backgrounds, ages and abilities are supported to gather, enjoy and live. That vision doesn't sustain itself. It's built by organisations like ours on volunteer time at almost no cost to Council.
Miss Rasmussen, you're already at 6 minutes, so can you please conclude?
Yeah, of course. Supporting 1A leaseholders with their utility costs isn't charity. It's an investment in the city you've said you want to be. The policy is being reviewed now, and we're ready to be part of the conversation. We hope Council is too. Thank you.
Thank you for your deputation. Are there any questions? No? Thank you for Councillor Sutherland.
It doesn't sound like it, but did you get any satisfaction from the state government when you wrote a letter?
We've just drafted the letter. I only received the draft recently.
Okay.
So just to clarify, it hasn't been sent?
It hasn't been sent. No, I've been working on the deputation this weekend.
Thank you. Thank you for your deputation. The next one is in relation to the same item, 10.5.1.2.5. Victoria Savage has requested to speak on the item.
Hello, my name is Victoria Savage from Bayswater. Thank you, Mayor and councillors, for the opportunity to speak to item 10.5.1.2.5. My name is Victoria Savage and I am the President of the Bayswater Toy Library, a Category 1A community organisation leasing a city property at Mackenzie Reserve in Embleton. The Bayswater Toy Library is a fully volunteer-run, low-cost, not-for-profit service that supports families across the city of Bayswater. Any decision affecting our lease conditions or operating expenses has a direct impact on our ability to continue delivering this service. One of our greatest strengths is the diversity of the families we support. Some of our members are concession card holders and many come from cold backgrounds. We also support families with children with disabilities and additional support needs who rely on access to specialised toys, sensory equipment and developmental resources. Every reduction in our operating costs goes straight back into improving our catalogue and services. This includes expanding our range of educational toys, adding sensory play equipment, replacing worn items to maintain safety, and keeping membership fees affordable so that cost is never a barrier to participation. Our volunteers also contribute directly to the improvement of city assets. Recently, our committee secured grant funding and invested over $22,000 in landscaping and revitalisation of the outdoor space at our leased facility. This work enhanced the amenity of the reserve, activated a community space and improved a city property at no cost to the ratepayer. It is a clear example of how supporting organisations like ours creates a multiplier effect to the community. I would also like to highlight how strongly our work aligns with the City of Bayswater's strategic objectives. We promote community wellbeing and inclusion, supporting concession card holders, cold families, and children with disabilities, directly contributing to the city's community wellbeing goals. We support early childhood development and lifelong learning by providing access to high-quality educational resources, aligning with the city's commitment to lifelong learning. Our sharing model reduces waste and encourages sustainable behaviours, supporting the city's environmental sustainability objectives. Through a landscaping project, we have helped create vibrant, activated community spaces. And as a volunteer-run organisation, we exemplify the city's goal of fostering strong community partnerships that deliver high value at minimal cost. Bayswater Toy Library delivers significant community benefit for a very small financial footprint. Supporting Category 1A organisations like ours is not simply an administrative decision, it is an investment in the wellbeing, inclusion, sustainability and connectedness of families across the City of Bayswater. I respectfully ask Council to consider these impacts when making decisions under item 10.5.1.2.5 and to continue supporting the vital role we play in the community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your deputation. I'll just ask if there are any questions from councillors. Councillor Black.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for your deputation. Just want to double check just how many members you have in your organisation?
We currently have 115 families.
150 families?
115,
And
sorry, 115.
is there a ballpark, and so how many of those are City of Bayswater residents?
I'd say about 80% are City of Bayswater.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
Any other questions, councillors? I have a question. Just in regards, referencing the first deputation on this item, have you written to your state member about electricity charges or utility charges?
We have not.
You have not. Have you considered asking the state government?
We have not, but we will now. Yeah,
Thank you.
no worries.
The next deputation is in relation to the same item, and it's Sandy McKiernan has requested to speak in support of the officer's recommendation.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, councillors, and I'm happy to be here tonight. I am the recently elected Treasurer of the Bayswater Women's Hub, another 1A leaseholder in your council.
And your suburb?
I'm in Dianella,
Oh,
personally,
thanks.
yep. But we are located in Maylands border as an operation. The Bayswater Women's Hub is 1A leaseholder, and I'm in support mostly of the changes both to the overarching fees and the restructure of the one fee item rather than multiple invoices. As Treasurer, receiving multiple invoices and having to administer those has been somewhat of an interesting burden to undergo. We provide service as a hub to women who are most vulnerable in our community, who are coming to us to share, connect and learn skills. We operate similar to a men's shed, but with a women's focus, providing that safe shared space. Our operations are very modest. We're at $12,000 to $15,000 a year, so any cost savings, and in reference to the utilities, I was unaware of the historical nature, being only in the organisation the last couple of months. Our utilities are probably a little bit different because we're not operating sort of to the high probably hours of those other services, but they are relatively significant within that $12,000 to $15,000. So any shifts and changes there would be supported by the Bayswater Women's Hub. Any reductions in costs are definitely will be significant to our operation, allowing all of our funds to go back into our member activities. We are currently at about 70 members, and with a reinvigorated board, we're hoping to sort of see that rise by at least 20 to 30% over the next 3 to 4 months as we repurpose our programs and services. The current board is also looking to future-proof our organisation. Part of our challenges have been sort of rolling board members who take their information with them, and setting up our organisation to have sort of sustainable sort of systems and processes, including our financial management. So I have spent some time reviewing our expenditure over the last 2 years to really sort of understand what our costs look like. And utilities are definitely there, but our biggest costs are definitely our insurances, which I'm sure my learned friends in the audience here are also experiencing. Those are probably nearly 50% of our expenditure annually. We are definitely a volunteer-based organisation. I have been a lifelong volunteer in my private life, but as a senior executive in health in my day job, it is without the support of the organisations and councils that these sorts of work that we do doesn't actually happen. So keeping our costs to to a minimum would be definitely what I would like to see. We are seeking, I suppose, we are supporting this mostly because of the changes in the administration and enabling that to sort of streamline some of our processes. But in doing so, that would help us to create a safe shared space where women can connect, build and learn from one another. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Vita. Before you sit down, I'll just see if there are any questions from councillors. Councillor Black.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Sandy, for your deputation. I did ask the previous deputation in regards to member numbers. Do you have those off the top
We're
of your
about
head?
75 at the moment. Yeah.
75, and do you have an estimate ballpark?
I would think
as
probably
to
about 80% too. Yep.
80% of the Bayswater residents?
Yep.
Yep. No worries. Thank you very much.
Any other questions, councillors? No? Thank you very much. The next deputation is in relation to item 10.5.1.3.4, and Tamina Stokes has requested to speak in opposition to the recommendation.
Good evening, Mayor and Councillors. My name is Tamina Stokes, residing in Morley. I object to the proposed short-term rental accommodation policy 10.5.1.3.4 and ask Council to strengthen it before adoption. My concerns relate to 4 key areas. Firstly, housing availability and the growing commercialisation of residential housing. The Council Officer's report repeatedly states that the approximately 0.7% of dwellings are STRA and approximately 0.4 are unhosted STRA, concluding that STRA is not having a significant impact on housing availability. I believe this oversimplifies the issue. Every property converted from long-term residential accommodation to unhosted short-term accommodation is one less dwelling available to local residents. With around 30% of dwellings in the city of Bayswater occupied by renters and the Perth rental vacancy rate remaining extremely low, Even small reductions in available housing can have a disproportionate impact on affordability, access, and homelessness. The concern is not just the number of STRA properties today, but the incentive this policy creates for future conversions. Short-term accommodation often generates significantly higher returns than long-term leasing, encouraging investors to remove housing from the residential market. When the state government currently has a $10,000 incentive scheme for unhosted STRA operators to convert back to long-term rentals, the opposite of what this policy is doing. STRA was originally promoted as a way for residents to occasionally rent out their homes while away. However, submissions such as Submission 15 demonstrates that in some cases it has evolved into a large-scale commercial tourism business model operated in residential land applications using loopholes, which local traditional tourist accommodation providers like service apartments, motels and hotels cannot fairly compete with under normal business application and regulation. Unlike hotels, motels and service apartments, some of these other poorly run unhosted STRAs do not self-manage guest behaviour, and instead the burden is shifted onto community and taxpayer-funded public services to deal with any issues that arise. Residents become the first line of monitoring, councils become the regulator, and police become the after-hours security service while the operator sits back and collects the cash. The community is not a pseudo-unpaid staff for these unhosted STRAs. Secondly, the consultation process has been inequitable. The officer's report confirms that existing STRA operators were directly contacted by letter and email during the consultation period. However, neighbours, residents, adjoining landowners and affected community members were not afforded the same opportunity. Despite this, the report repeatedly states that there is little evidence of antisocial behaviour, few complaints, and that the STRAs generally operate harmoniously with neighbours. I question how the council can rely on a lack of complaints as evidence of a lack of impact when the people most likely to experience these impacts were not directly consulted. I'm particularly concerned by the proposal to remove consultation requirements for properties to the opposite side of the street. Submission 5 specifically raised concerns from a resident opposite an STRA property regarding parking and amenity impacts. Rather than addressing those concerns, the policy proposes removing future residents in that exact circumstance from being consulted. It gives the impression that the council is more focused on reducing objections than understanding the impacts being experienced by the residents. Thirdly, the policy lacks protective tools to protect the residents' residential amenity. This policy exists because changing a property from residential accommodation to short-stay tourist accommodation can create impacts on neighbouring properties, yet the policy relies heavily on complaints and enforcement after issues have already occurred. It is unclear what powers council has once the approval is granted. Can the council require privacy screening, frosted windows, higher fencing, additional landscaping, restrictions on overlooking? Can conditions be added during the approval period if legitimate concerns are raised? The policy provides little certainty. I am also concerned that the preferred locations have been removed while the policy still seeks to protect residential amenity. Without location-based controls or any proactive mitigation measures, it is difficult to see how these objectives will be achieved in practice.
Ms Stokes, you're at your time, so if you can just conclude.
Yeah. Can I just have... Finally, the policy does not adequately protect vulnerable members of community. The policy is heavily focused around complaint management processes and assumes that affected people can identify issues, make complaints and actively engage with the processes. However, children, elderly, residents, people living with disability often have more limited capacity to access these systems than able-bodied adults. A child attending a school adjoining an STRA property cannot reasonably be expected to rely on complaints management plan. Likewise, elderly residents and people without disability may rely on carers, parents and other family members to advocate on their behalf. The policy currently contains no specific protections for these groups to no proactive mechanisms to restore amenity if concerns arise.
Ms Stokes, I need you to conclude now. I've got 9 in-person deputations tonight and we have heard lots, so
Okay.
can you please conclude?
Okay. If the council does not have the ability to proactively impose mitigation measures or quickly restore amenity after approval, then exclusion zones or buffers distances should be considered around sensitive land uses such as school, childcare centres, aged facilities and disabilities.
Thank
In
you.
closing, I urge the council to strengthen the policies by better protecting housing availability, improving consultation with affected residents, introducing proactive measures and recognising the needs of vulnerable members of our community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just ask if there are any questions. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Stocks, for raising all those issues. I have a question. So from what I understood from you at the beginning of your deputation, you have general concerns about short-term rental accommodation. So are you supportive of any short-term rental accommodation in the city of Bayswater, or you think there should be a clear ban?
No, I definitely don't think there should be a
Okay.
clear ban. I think there's hosted short-term accommodation absolutely has its place. It allows for using of a granny flat or a spare room, you know, because we need more housing, absolutely.
Or a house?
So,
Or a house?
pardon?
Or a whole house?
Yeah, or a whole house as well,
Yeah.
absolutely. So if there's a street and there's one house, it's unhosted,
Okay.
absolutely. But then when we get a street of 20 houses and then there's 2, 3, 5, if it becomes 50% of the street, if it becomes 70%, I'm just saying at what point, you know, we're losing social cohesion. We won't know our neighbours. We have a high turnover of visitors. You know, we are in the middle of a rental crisis. The city of Bayswater has, it says that the...
Sorry, I'm gonna.
I'm just saying, like...
Yeah. So, Deputy Mayor, has your question been answered?
Yeah, I just have a follow-up. Yeah, I just quick responses. Thank you. So are you aware of any street in the city that currently has 70% of short-term rental accommodation? This is your concern you're raising. 70% or 50% or 40%?
Yeah.
The whole street?
So, One Mangini Street has got, so the Morley Primary School
Yeah.
has 2 adjacent properties. One is 9 units and the other is a house. Okay, so that's 10 dwellings, of which 7 are on hosted short stays. Now, this update of this policy has removed consultation with neighbours across the street. So that removes all the other neighbours. So of the adjoining land uses for Morley Primary School and the oval that they use every
So your
day,
concern is about
there are
that one?
10 dwellings, of which 7 are unhosted short stay, directly adjacent to the school,
Thank you.
overlooking the school.
Thank
so
you.
70%.
Thank you. Are there any other questions, councillors? I just have one question. During your deputation, you kept referring to short-term tourist accommodation.
Yeah, so
And I don't know where you've got that reference.
well, STRA is tourist, or it's not long-term residential accommodation.
Just to be clear,
Sorry, I mean-
it's not tourist, it's short,
STRA, yes.
short-term rental accommodation.
yes.
So it's not just for tourism, it's also for any residential purposes.
So anything that's not long-term residential, owner-occupier or long-term rentals.
Yeah, it's short-term, but
Is what I mean.
it's
For
not just tourists. It can be tourists, but it can also be non-tourists.
Yes, absolutely. So anyone just staying for a short period of time, but generally that would be a tourist.
Not necessarily, no. But this isn't a debate. So
Okay,
thank
of
you very
course.
much for your deputation.
Of course.
Thank you. The next one is in relation to, we'll just get Councillor Black back in the room. So the next deputation is in relation to item 11.1, and Brianne Rasmussen has requested to speak in support of the motion. Could I please ask, because it covers the same topics, some of the same topics in your first deputation, if you could just focus on the parts of this item that are different to that policy?
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. So my name's Bree again. I live in Maylands. So thank you again for letting me speak tonight. Previously outlined the community why we would ask that the community leasing policy be looked at for a longer term solution for 1A leaseholders. But now I just wanted to speak to why Casimir and Bayswater Playgroup are under a lot of pressure and can't really wait for that process to conclude, and why the notice of motion is before you tonight. So this motion doesn't ask council to solve the entire utilities question tonight. and it doesn't ask for a permanent subsidy or policy change or an open-ended financial commitment. The electricity waiver covers the remainder of 2025-26 financial year and all of 26-27, which would be a temporary bridge. During that same period, the city would investigate and potentially install a solar system at 2 Hudson Street, funded by the Climate Action Reserve or external grants. And the motion is very explicit that the waiver is temporary and its purpose is to provide short-term relief while the longer-term solution is put in place. We're not asking for a blank cheque there, but we are asking for a bridge to this solution until a longer-term option can be found. So the cost is outlined in the officer's report. It was approximately $2,000 to waive the electricity fees for the remaining 2025 financial year and 26-27. Then solar installation was estimated at $6,000, which could be funded directly from the Climate Action Reserve, which currently holds $3.3 million. So the total would be $8,000, most of which can be covered by the Climate Action Reserve, to significantly reduce our operating costs ongoing for a community facility and provide immediate relief to 2 volunteer-run playgroups in the meantime. I would note that there is already building works scheduled at 2 Hudson Street, roof repairs, air conditioning, and a switchboard upgrade. So this is intended to happen following those works, and this motion just ensures that our playgroups aren't bearing the electricity costs, while the city completes works on its building. I just wanted to touch on the concern about precedent. The officer's report flags that approving this motion might create an expectation of similar requests from other community leaseholders. And I think if other 1A organisations do come forward with similar concerns, I expect, and I suspect some may, that the problem's not created by this motion. It's evidence that perhaps the policy has a structural gap that needs to be addressed. The answer to the precedent concern isn't to refuse relief to organisations in need. The answer is to fix the policy, which is exactly why we're asking for the longer-term solution in my earlier deputation. Almost a year ago, I stood before council when you made the decision to remove Casimir from the disposal list. What you gave us there was time. Time to stabilise, time to grow, time to build the community that Casimir needed. When I stood here last year, we had 48 families. Tonight, we have around 80 across 4 days a week. That's what breathing room looks like. Bayswater Playgroup needs that same breathing room now, a largely new committee finding their feet and doing their best for the families who depend on them. You'll hear from those families tonight. I won't duplicate those words, but I just ask that you hear them. The City of Bayswater's own strategic plan identifies as an objective to partner with community to build an energy smart and water-wise city. This motion is that partnership in practice. The city installs solar on its buildings, the playgroup benefits from reduced costs, and the Climate Action Reserve can be used for precisely what it was created for. We're asking council to support all 4 limbs of this motion tonight. It's modest and targeted and hopefully self-resolving. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just ask if there are any questions. Councillor Pittaway.
Yeah, thanks very much, Brianne, for your deputation. Just wanted to ask a quick question, because this is sort of waiving the fees for 25, 26 and 27. Is that correct?
Yeah,
That's what you've said.
Current financial year and the next financial year.
Okay, so obviously the current financial year finishes in 2 weeks. So is the organisation currently up to date with its utility bills?
We are, yes.
So are you expressing financial hardship in that sense that you can't pay the bills going forward for the next financial year?
I'll let Bayswater Playgroup speak for themselves, but we are in a position where we can just cover them because our membership is up. But if that changes, then that has a direct impact on our ability to pay for those services.
Okay. And can I just quickly ask, what's the sort of ratio between Casimir and obviously the playgroup in terms of the ratio of the split of the bills, I suppose, in that sense?
Casimir at the moment has taken on a larger share of the playgroup utilities costs, both to support Bayswater Playgroup, but also because we utilise the facility almost 7 days a week, and Bayswater Playgroup uses the facility 3 days a week.
Okay. Yeah, so it'd be like 70-30 or something.
Yeah,
like that.
70-30.
Yeah, okay, cool. Thank you.
Any other questions, councillors? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. So what I heard from you, I'm interested to understand again, and I think we reviewed it last year about the operational hours. From what I heard from you, Casamia operates 7 days a week,
Yes, at the
and
moment.
the Bayswater Playgroup 3 days a week.
Yeah.
The sessions of the two playgroups, are they in parallel or it's one after another?
They're in parallel generally. So we'll have 5 days a week sessions running and then weekend use at Casimir in the morning, usually 9:30 to 11:30. And then we'll have, and same as Bayswater Playgroup, they have 3 sessions a week about the same time, 9:30 to 11:30 or 9 to 11.
So outside those hours, the place is empty.
Yeah, so we do have, our session leader will be there cleaning, doing any of the maintenance, the gardening. She'll be doing the pack away and the getting ready for the next session. So she's usually there till about 1:32. So, yeah.
Can I ask you, Bree, if you don't mind? Because I had the concerns that you guys have, and I understand where you're coming from. Have you ever thought maybe to approach us to allow the building to be used before your sessions and after by an out-of-school hours care, similar to how the Mellons Playgroup works? Because I understood from them that they do not pay utilities, because we have the main lessee, which is an out-of-school hours care before and after. They pay most of the stuff. The Mellons Playgroup really pay very marginal sum of money, and they still allow, and I use those hours. Is this something that you considered to allow you to deal with your concerns? Is this something that can work?
We have approached quite a number of councillors recently with regards to the utilities cost. It hasn't been broached this year, but last year when the playgroup was being considered for disposal, that idea was floated, but at that time we were told there's not a huge need for before and after school care in the area, so it wasn't considered a necessary avenue. But look, we would like to be able to continue operating. We'd like to be able to reduce our utilities costs so that we can operate. So we're happy to engage in consultations. We just aren't often given that opportunity.
So just to follow up, so there is no objection from the playgroup to look into possible introducing before and after school hours care, whilst allowing you to operate with the same hours that you currently operate, to have them pay you the utilities?
Yeah, so there is certainly the space to be able to do that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I just have a question around your membership numbers. You said it was 80. Is that across both groups or just the Casimir?
Just Casimir.
Okay, so Casimir is 80. And how many is Bayswater Playgroup? Do you know?
Oh, I'm sure Kathy
Okay.
will cover that, but it's approximately 20.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So the next deputation is in relation to the same item, 11.1, and Catherine Lade has requested to speak in support.
Good evening. My name's Catherine and I live in Bayswater. So, as I said, my name's Kathy. I am the president of Bayswater Playgroup, and thanks for letting me speak to you this evening. I'm a resident and ratepayer in Bayswater, and I've lived here for over 10 years, with my husband and 2 young children, and we've been part of the Bayswater Playgroup since 2022. And one of the reasons I love living here is it's such a wonderful place to raise a young family. We've got a really strong community and excellent services. And one of those services is Bayswater Playgroup, which has been part of the community since the 1970s. It's supported generations of local families and started out at the Drill Hall and then to the Bayswater Family Centre, and then in about 2021 moved to our current home at Hudson Street, where we're sharing with Casimir. We are a community-based, 100% volunteer-run playgroup. We provide play-based learning and social connection for children aged from 0 to 5 and their families. We have a very diverse membership, including families from many different cultural backgrounds and quite a few members who are quite new to Perth, and we really provide a strong community engagement for those families. We're an accessible and affordable environment for children to learn, play and connect, and really at a fraction of the cost of most other early childhood activities. At times like these, when so many families are struggling with the rising cost of living, it's more important than ever that our types of services remain available to the community. I stepped into the role of president earlier this year at a really difficult time for our playgroup. We had quite a big decline in membership, and many of our community members moved on. Our committee members had moved on as their children grew into their school years. And at about exactly the same time, the change to the lease came into effect such that we were obliged to cover the cost of our utilities. And at that time, that utility cost on its own was exceeding our entire membership income for the year. So despite these challenges, I'm happy to say we now have a fully staffed, wonderful committee in place, and we've been working really hard to secure the future of the playgroup. We've worked hard to increase our membership, so we've gone from 12 at the start of the year up to 20 in the first 6 months, and we're really committed to continue this momentum to strengthen our organisation. Similar to what Bree described, our committee's really done everything possible to keep our playgroup running. We've been applying for grants, fundraising, we've taken on all our own cleaning and gardening, and we've been working really closely with Casamia to reduce costs, and we really appreciate the support that they've been providing to us around the utility split. Our Treasurer was planning to speak tonight as well, a bit further on these financial measures, but unfortunately he's unwell and he's submitted a written deputation. I'm really proud of what our volunteers have achieved this year, while also juggling caring for young families and paid work. But as we've raised in other deputations, I'm quite concerned that this level of effort's not sustainable, and that I think in the long run, I'm concerned about the possibility of burnout for our committee and the difficulty we would have retaining people if things continue how they are. So we're really asking for the council to help us out. We're doing everything we can by increasing membership, cutting costs, and working to establish other sources of income, but these steps require time to become successful. We're really willing to do the work, we just need some support. So any measures being considered under the community leasing policy that can help small community groups to manage operating costs make a huge difference. Even quite a small costs that appear small are really significant for an organisation like ours, which we have a very limited income, and often our members are not able to contribute extra time or money. In particular, the motion before council tonight to waive electricity costs will provide crucial relief over the next 12 months, giving us the opportunity to continue growing our membership, building income and reducing our costs for a more sustainable future for our playgroup. In closing, it's been a really challenging 12 months. This is a group I care deeply about because I've seen firsthand the value it brings to local families and the wider Bayswater community. So I hope you can support Bayswater Playgroup and help us protect a service which has supported our local families for more than 40 years and ensure that children and families can continue to benefit for many years to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your deputation. I'll just ask if there are any questions from councillors. Councillor Black.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Kathy, for your deputation. I just want to ask, I think the previous deputy mentioned that you have 20 family members, is that correct?
I think that's about it, yeah,
Do you
at
have
the
an
moment,
estimation of how many of those may reside in the city of Bayswater off the top of your head?
I'd say, yeah, 75 to 80%, similar
75
to
to
the others.
80%, yep.
I would mention a couple of years ago, I think we had probably 35 to 40 members. I think we've really gone through a very sharp decrease, and I think we have a lot of capacity to run. We're keen to add additional sessions and sort of reaching out to mothers groups and things like that to, yeah, I'd say this is a historically low figure, so I'd like to stress that we would hope to be back at a much higher number in the next 12 months.
And in terms of what you've done in the last 6 months, noting in your deputation, you've said it's raised from 12 members to 20.
Yeah, to 20. We've had a fantastic enrolments officer who's, you know, very active and advertising on social media and that kind of thing. And
yeah. So you think another 12 months of that work could see you in a position where your membership numbers could be more sustainable
I would
financially?
definitely hope so, yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
Any other questions, councillors? I have some questions. Thank you for your deputation. Can I just ask, how much does it cost to be a member?
$170 a year.
170. Is that per child or per family?
Per family.
Per family. So someone could bring 2 or 3 children.
Correct, yep.
To the playgroup. Okay, so that's.
I'd note, we did look at, obviously, that's the one lever we have to increase income. So we had a look at all the local playgroups who operate under the same model as us, so Maylands, Inglewood, Yokine, and their membership fees are very similar to that. So we're not really feeling that it would be straightforward to increase them very much because we benchmark to other playgroups. Yep.
And what do they get for $170?
So the standard one is once a week. We run 3 sessions a week, so it's about 2 hours. It's facilitated by the parents. We don't have any paid staff. We have an excellent indoor area with a heap of toys, craft activities, all of that, and then a really great outdoor space as well with a playground and sandpit and water play and all that kind of thing. So there's just very sometimes structured, so parents might run an activity and sometimes just free play, but yeah. Lots of families don't have backyards, this kind of thing. So I think having a place that's safe to come and meet with their friends is really valuable.
So they can get up to 6 hours a week, basically, for that. It's 3 days, 2 hours a week?
Correct, yeah. So no, typically we would have, in normal circumstances, I think we would charge extra if they came more than once a week, yeah. But we don't have many families who are coming more than once. You'd normally join a group and that's kind of your play group.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it's been a long time since I've been involved in a playgroup.
I don't think we have many members who are coming more than once a week, and we would typically charge them an additional fee for extra days. I couldn't tell you what it is off the top of my head, though.
Thank you. And I also heard from the previous deputy that there are times when your group and Casimir are running concurrently.
Correct, yeah.
So I guess I'm trying to understand. I know what Montessori is. My children went to a Montessori school.
Yep.
But has there been, if you're running concurrently, because what I see is like 2 committees, 2 lots of volunteers, 2, presidents and secretaries. And has there ever been any discussion of maybe, to alleviate that type of burnout from volunteers and stuff like that, and you're running concurrently, to actually merge? And you're at the same location, you're running concurrently, it's the same age groups, you're both play groups, so that you don't have all of those issues that are becoming difficult to manage.
Well, I guess merging wouldn't solve our utility problem. That wouldn't affect the cost. I think the philosophies are fairly different. I don't know the Casimir membership fee, but just because that is a facilitated playgroup, they have a paid session leader.
They have
so their cost per year would be substantially more than ours. I think the traditional playgroup model is more of a parent-run, totally volunteer organisation, which is what we are, and because of that, it is by design more affordable. We haven't really discussed a merger as a potential solution. I would say maybe one of my members who is speaking next might speak to this a bit as well, but I'd say our model is very open-ended and unstructured, and we do have a lot of our kids who come who I think that suits really well, like who might have sort of diverse needs, and it's not very structured, whereas I think maybe the Montessori model can be a bit more structured. And we also cater to babies as well, so all like 0 to 5, which is a wider age range.
And you did mention that you kind of benchmarked your fees against similar play groups in Inglewood and forgot the other one that you said.
Maylands.
Maylands.
Yeah.
So they're all nearby. Just wanted to ask, have you had conversations with those committees to see how they are managing? Because
they're not paying. So I think, sorry, I won't interrupt you.
Well, it was how they're managing to their affordability and their financial issues.
So I believe Victoria here is on the Maylands committee. I don't think Maylands have a lease. I don't think they're paying a full leasing cost, potentially because of the... is it an after school? Yeah, so that's...
But they have a shared facility with a commercial operator, so therefore their utility costs aren't covered by them. Okay, yep. And the Inglewood one, do you happen to know?
So they're City of Stirling. My understanding is they are, I don't want to speak on their behalf, but I think they are getting charged quite a high fee by the City of Stirling. That is a concern for them as well.
Okay.
Yeah. I think there is we were hoping to get some input from Playgroup WA, who's our governing body, and I think they do see a bit of this, where a lot of playgroups do have financial issues as council policies change,
Yeah. And just on that note, seeing that you do have an association body in Playgroup WA, if this is a common theme across lots of different playgroups, has there been any advocacy by your association, by Playgroup WA, to the state government because utilities are a state government cost?
Not that I'm aware of. It's probably something, as we've discussed, if we're looking to contact the state government, we can ask for their help. I think they have been involved with advocacy in other councils around this exact issue. I'm aware of one example in a different council area where they advocated for a waiver on utilities for this in a very similar circumstance. No, but certainly I think, as Bree discussed, if we're planning to speak to the state government about utilities, we would seek to engage them. We were hoping they could submit a deputation tonight, but I think the quick turnaround was too quick for them, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess, how can I say this in a question? You might, would you agree that, you know, working as a whole kind of sector, or not sector, but, you know, play groups as a whole, you might have more, and being represented by an industry body such as Playgroup WA, you might actually have more success in advocacy than just every individual group going to their individual councils?
Potentially, yes. As I said, one of the things I think we've had is the last 6 months we've just been pretty flat out trying to establish a committee and really look at all the different options we could pursue. That's not one we've gone down yet. We are planning to contact the state government around the utilities fees, and we can ask. I guess there's a lot of different playgroup models out there. We are holding a direct lease, but I think in our previous venues, I think it was a different setup, and I think different playgroups are different across the state, so I'm not sure if it would apply to everybody, but we would certainly engage them and ask them to help us.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Pittaway.
Yeah, thanks, Catherine, for your deputation. I probably should have asked Brianne this as well, but just it was sort of briefly touched on. Have your organisation, the Playgroup, got things like fundraising activities planned over the next financial year? And the question, the reason I asked that question is because obviously the motion in front of us is for the waiving of fees for your particular group, the Bayswater Playgroup, not Casamere. But obviously, you know, you all reside at 2 Hudson Street, so I'm sort of confused by the motion in some regards in that sense, because we're asking for the waiving of fees for just the Bayswater Playgroup. So I'm just trying to understand from that question though, have you got any sort of fundraising activities planned for your playgroup? And sort of almost going back to what the Mayor was just saying there, you know, coming together and, you know, combining your resources to do some fundraising activities?
Obviously, I didn't draft the motion. The waiver of electricity, I believe, is the entire electricity bill for the premises. Yeah, so that would assist Casamere. We did a fundraiser that heavily supported by Casamere in May, I think, where we raised about $1,400, which covered our utilities for 3 months, maybe 4 months. Yeah, so we have looked at it and other options out there. I think, as Bree raised, we do struggle in that we all have very small children, so like the ability to run a lot of the traditional fundraisers is quite hard in terms of finding things we can do that if you don't have childcare available, I suppose, like trivia nights and stuff are hard if you have toddlers. And the other comment, I guess, is we did find with our fundraising that a lot of the people who attended were our members already, and so they're happy to support, but I'm concerned by any model that we are constantly reliant on never-ending fundraising just to pay for our baseline operating costs. I think we would look to do it as a bit more of an ad hoc thing for a specific reason, but in terms of maintaining committee and our member support, I think if we're just constantly, I think trying to find, if we're going to do fundraising, how we can do it on a broader base and not just constantly coming back to our members, I think many of who are not in a position to necessarily contribute a lot extra, which I think for me is quite important as we're trying to provide an accessible service to this community. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your deputation.
Thank you.
So the next one is in relation to the same item, 11.1, and Ellen Ornans. yes, has requested to speak in support of the motion.
My name is Ellen Ornans and I am a resident of Bayswater and I am the secretary of Bayswater Playgroup. And I wish to share how important Bayswater Playgroup has been to me on my journey through the early years of becoming a mother and how integral it has been to my confidence and also my postnatal mental health. I am almost 5 years into my parenting journey with 3 children under 4 years, and I feel that it is now my role to pass on this confidence and support other mothers starting their journey, who I will find at Bayswater Playgroup. The unique structure of Bayswater Playgroup and our generous facilities is crucial for fostering this community support and support to young parents. It's not term-based, and long-term relationships grow based around shared experiences and postcode, facilitating community. My first child did not sleep, nor did I want to sleep train him. He woke every 40 minutes for 3 months of his life between midnight and 4 a.m. By the end of his first year, I had started lying to health professionals and was starting to feel that it was my fault, his sleep, but I knew that listening to him cry would leave me in further tatters. And Playgroup healed this for me. I met parents who had similar experiences and learnt other ways to manage these early, messy, chaotic years based around supporting the mother. There is not much for parents of young children beyond Mothers Group in the first years. And if that doesn't take off, it's not until school years that shared local community relationships grow. Playgroup fills this space. There will be someone there who will hold your baby while you go to the toilet or if you need to soothe your older child because they know that's what you need. It's not much, but it is what you need because it's alarming how many people won't offer to help you if you're out with 2 young children. Our playgroup is a safe space for young kids that can't sit still. That's Bayswater Playgroup, and can't do an organised activity, which is actually a lot of children. During the toddler years with my first, if we went to a cafe, he would go into the kitchen to try and get to the dishwasher. If I told him no, he would kick and scream. Bayswater Playgroup is a space for those kids and their frazzled parents' central nervous systems can breathe. When I started 4 years ago, our playgroup was very much a space for these kids, and we actually had so many members that it was full we couldn't actually accept other members, so there would have been space to start a group on another day. Every 3 to 4 years, the groups do get smaller, talking to past members with kids starting school, and then it grows again. The scrutiny on our building and lease has come unfortunately at a lull in members, but already since the start of the year, numbers have grown significantly, and they will continue to purely by word of mouth because our playgroup is great and it is a space that isn't really offered elsewhere. I'll just give you another personal example. Our fundraiser, I did buy tickets to it. It was puppies and painting. Most of the people that attended were girls. My 2 boys was completely lost on them. My 4-year-old had a sensory moment with black paint and a rock, and he was done in 2 minutes. And then he was next door on our side where we have the soft play for kids that need to run around. We cannot continue without financial assistance. Our committee is already at capacity. I'm also back to work in 2 months, so I'm not really sure what additional time I can give to the committee in terms of fundraising. I haven't got any. We are the time poor parents of young children. And playgroup was my first experience as a mother where I felt truly seen and understood and safe to learn and grow. And I'd just like to thank you for listening to that.
Thank you very much for your deputation. Before you go away, I'll just see if there are any questions. Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thank you. Perhaps it was a question for some of the other ones, but maybe we can pass on the question. Do you know how much the groups pay for utilities all over, like overall, for the whole utilities?
For 4,600.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions, councillors? Thank you for your deputation, and talking about word of mouth, maybe after hearing your deputation you'll get more members saying how wonderful it is. Okay, so we now move on to the next deputation, which is actually a confidential item. So we need to go behind closed doors and we'll need to ask members of the gallery to leave. So, councillors, we have received 12 written deputations tonight, which have been provided to councillors and published on the city's website, and I will take those as read. We now move to item 7, questions on agenda reports, and I will now ask questions on items that were the subject of deputations. So the first one is 10.3.1, Maylands Lakes Landscape and Water Quality Plan. We received a deputation in writing for this. Are there any questions from councillors? No. Item 10.3.6, Riverside Gardens Urban Forest Project update. Another written deputation. Any questions on this one? No. Item 10.3.7, Hillcrest Reserve Basketball Court petition. Do I have any questions on this one? No. Item 10.5.1.2.5, Policy Review Community Facility Lease and Licence User Agreement. Any questions on this one? Councillor Ostaszewski.
Thank you. I will do it for this one. It also kind of applies for 11.1 as well, but I'll go with this one. To the city, community groups are required to submit an annual report through to the city, which outlines members, member numbers, fees they charge, hours of operation, etc., etc.
I'll go to the director to respond.
Through the chair, that's correct. They need to provide that on an annual basis.
On an annual basis, okay. I will wait for 11.1.
Thank you. Any Deputy Mayor?
Thank you. I have a question with regards to 2 Hudson Street and the Casamia playgroups and Bayswater playgroups. Following up the question that I asked before, if council wanted to explore the option of introducing before and after school hours care, a commercial provider, what will be the process to do that?
I'll go.
I can repeat it.
If council wanted to explore the option of introducing a commercial before and after school provider at 2 Hudson Street, what would be the process?
Before and after the playgroups sessions?
Yes. I'll go the CEO.
So through you, Madam Mayor, not dissimilar to previous notice of motion from councillors to explore that option in Maylands, then it would be a similar process, and then we would write to the state government and look at that, and also go out for expressions of interest in terms of any providers that would be able to provide that service before and after the times of being operated at that location.
Thank you.
Councillor Ladder?
I just want to clarify on that, is that still the case given that the organisation has an existing lease with the city?
I'll go to the CEO.
So through you, Madam Mayor, I'd need to look at the lease provisions to see whether there's any clauses within there that would allow the city to do that. But the other avenue that the city could take is through negotiation with the current users of the facility to see if they were in agreement to alter that lease to accommodate that purpose.
Any other questions on this item? No? We go on to 10.5.1.3.4, new local planning policy short-term rental accommodation. Any questions on this? Oh, sorry. Do you want to see if there is a question before you actually leave the room? Are there any questions on this one? No. The next item is 11.1. Councillor Black waiving of fees for electricity charges, Bayswater Playgroup. Any questions on this one? Councillor Ostaszewski.
Thank you. In regards to the annual reports that the groups provide to the city each year, can the city tell us what's reported on?
I'll go to the director.
Through the chair, that question might be better placed to go to the coordinator that's here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Through the chair, we can take that question on notice to outline every single point, but it is also referenced in the community lease policy, so that information would be provided, but we do ask for information on their financial position, number of memberships, also how often they utilise the building and the times and days. There are a few other components, but we can get back to you on that one.
Thank you. Is it possible to find out, is it possible to be provided the annual reports for the Bayswater Playgroup and Casimir for the last, say, 5 years? So we can see as a council what those annual reports are saying about their financial positions, their membership numbers, etc.
Yeah, again, I'll take that on notice to review and see if we have those 5 years worth of data. Yeah, we can see what we have and get back to you.
Thank you. In regards to Bayswater Playgroup, are they a sublease? Do they sublease from Casimir?
Correct. So the city has a lease agreement with Casimir, and then the playgroup fall under that.
And would the Bayswater Playgroup then be required to submit those annual reports as well?
No, so we just get the information from who the city has an agreement with. So we just get Casimir, and part of their annual audit was they would then reference that the playgroup is a user of that, but we wouldn't get that finer information about the playgroup.
Okay, so finer information about Bayswater Playgroup as a sub-leasee to Casimir, those finer details that I'm interested in finding wouldn't specifically be mentioned in those reports unless they've offered that information themselves.
Correct.
Correct. So, yeah, it'd be great to get, say, 5 years' worth of their annual reports so we can see at least Casimir's position. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions on this item? Councillor Pitaway.
Yeah, just one question because I raised it earlier and I got an answer just in terms of the ratio, the split of utility bills. So it seems like Casimir probably, consumes about 70% and the playgroup 30%. Now, the motion, as I said, I'm confused because this is a waiving electricity charges for just the Bayswater Playgroup. Or can we get confirmation from council that it's not just the Bayswater Playgroup, it's 2 Hudson Street?
I think that might have to go to the mover in terms of the intention. Is that what you're asking? Is the intention for the entire
Just clarity.
premises?
Clarity.
Yeah, so...
Clarity on the financial implications
So what
of
I
this.
might do is I might go to the mover first to get their intention, and then I might go to the officer because there is a figure in here, a financial number referenced, to make sure that it matches the intention of the mover. Councillor Black.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through the chair. Yes, the intention is for my notice of motion to cover the electricity costs of 2 Hudson Street, and that does include Casimir and Bayswater Playgroup as a sublease of that building. However, in discussions with Casimir and the Playgroup, the water utility bills, as a result, may not be passed on to Bayswater Playgroup to account for that. I guess that benefit that Casimir may receive as a result of that electricity utility bill not being received from the city. That means that no bills would be received in terms of electricity and water to Bayswater Playgroup for the, and just to clarify as well, it's for the rest of the 25-26 financial year. So it's just the last period where bills may still appear next financial year, but may include this financial year as a result of the billing cycles, and for the net rest of the financial year, for next financial year as well. So yes, it does benefit them both, but from my perspective in creating this notice of motion, it was a cleaner way to ensure that we could it meant less administration on the city's behalf, not having to manage both utility bills, but also linking the long-term benefits of...
Sorry, Councillor, I'm not getting into a debate. I just wanted to know if it was for the premises or for the playgroup. That's all.
For the premises, Madam Mayor.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. So just to follow up on that question, and I don't know if this is to governance because it's something it's just occurred to me. The notice of motion references multiple times that it's providing assistance to Bayswater Playgroup. The city doesn't have a lease with Bayswater Playgroup. We have no legal contract with Bayswater Playgroup. Our contract is with Casimir. From the response given by the mover of the motion, it is in fact Casimir that will be getting the financial benefit, and whether they choose to pass that on to Bayswater Playgroup is a decision for themselves. It's not a decision for the city. So from a governance perspective, is this even right?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I think we'll need to take that question on notice and look
Okay.
into it.
Thank you. Any other questions on this? No? Okay, so councillors, are there any other items you'd like to ask questions on? Because no one's indicated anything in advance. Councillor Sadowski, which
Thank you.
item?
I would like to ask someone 14.1.1, the confidential.
Yep. Any other items?
Just a question about the confidential matter.
That's what he just said. Yep. Anything else? No? Okay. Thank you to those in the public gallery. We'll now have to close the doors again. Okay, so if there's nothing else, councillors, I will close this evening's agenda briefing forum at 9:03 p.m. Thank you.